Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. We had some in-camera issues to discuss this afternoon. We're back in regular session of council. It's now 4:36, and we're dealing with item number 7 on the August 19, 2023 agenda. So there is an email from Carrie Nesbitt, who is the Acting Director of Indigenous Affairs, Controlled Substances and Cannabis Branch, Health Canada. And she wants to know, does council wish to be consulted on, there's an expert panel on the Cannabis Act and there's legislative review, and would council like to be a representative on that to talk to the external expert panel leading to up to the legislative review of the Federal Cannabis Act. And of course, we all know that there was no accommodation when the government passed the legislation to recognize the authority of First Nations councils to regulate and control cannabis in the First Nations community, and is coupled with the other issue of First Nations laws not being enforceable by the police. There was a discussion, AI had a presentation with Bill Blair, who was the Minister of Public Safety at the time, to discuss the need to recognize First Nations jurisdiction and legislative authority over cannabis in the community. So that would be one of the things that could be covered in a presentation to the expert panel. If there's any health concerns that our staff have, Station, maybe you could get that together from the health team at our wellness building, if they have any positions they want to put forward. And I guess maybe through Lisa, maybe through the businesses themselves, are there any issues that they have? Of course, there's been some concern brought to council, a few of them, about the cannabis stores that are already operating. I know Tim Barnhart has been here to make a presentation. What's council's direction? Do we want to be have representation at this legislative review of the Federal Cannabis Act?
Are you interested, Chief?
Well, I would like to have a meeting with our staff to see what their issues, maybe our police and maybe the business people, to see what their issues are, to make sure we put a proper report together. So I'd like a briefing note, David, from maybe our economic development people and our health team and the police on this whole issue. Then we can decide from there. But I can tell you that, you know, the recognition of First Nations jurisdiction to make laws, to regulate it, and also the inability of the police to enforce any laws that we do make would be a weakness here.
It says the AFN and Chiefs Ontario.
Yeah.
Have you seen it at those tables?
Well, I've not been involved in any discussion at that table, other than, you know, we've discussed it at AIAI. There was the tobacco control, but that only was dealing with tobacco, it wasn't dealing with cannabis. And, you know, the province, you know, the federal government put the province squarely in the position to set up their own stores and make money on it. So, and there was no accommodation for First Nations, even though the Cannabis Act was supposed to benefit First Nations people, according to the Prime Minister anyway. So is that direction okay with council? We'll just have the staff canvass.
So the chief, I think what needs to happen probably in between that step is a conversation with this individual, because I don't know exactly what they're asking for. Like, they're saying, do we want to participate in activity panel, but what does that mean? What kind of input are we going to have? What breadth of information are we going to be able to provide? Like, I think I'd like to understand what it is that this actually entails, so that you guys can be informed about how you want to position somebody there. Because chief, maybe the person that should be there is you. Or maybe it should just be Jason, or maybe it should be Susan, or maybe it should be a collection of people. I don't know what it means when they're asking for that. So I have to have a discussion to make sure that we're actually doing the right thing with the right intention.
Well, the only thing I would think is I would want to canvass the people that work with anything that maybe related to cannabis, either on the health side or the law enforcement side or the, to find out what their views are and maybe incorporate that into the band position. But I would like a proper document prepared in writing that the council sees before that presentation goes forward and approves
Chief,
of it.
I agree 100%. All I'm saying is I don't know what they're asking in terms of what they mean to participate.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to know from them what it is that they're looking for in terms of participation so we can prepare the right documentation for you.
Okay. Chris?
May I suggest that the chief make,
Stacia,
sorry.
first. Stacia, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was just gonna say that, that whenever the emails go, chief, that, they're actually looking for you to be an expert, on that.
Well, I'm not I'm certainly not an expert.
Review, uh, so yes, I mean, you definitely need to have some information on that. It really is on a position of what sort of impact the legislation has had on the community in particular. And then anything specific that has to do with any pieces in the legislation that you would propose or that we propose as a community to be either reviewed, modified, revised, addressed. And so this would basically be one individual sitting as an expert on a panel
Yeah,
at a legislative review process.
like I certainly would not be an expert on any health impacts of cannabis, but I could simply go forward and tell you what the issues were that raised by people, the staff and our police force, and I guess then the lack of respect for First Nations jurisdiction and the ability to enforce our laws frustrates governance in the community, and it would frustrate governance over cannabis. Chris?
So may I suggest that the chief reach out to Kerry to get clarity on exactly what they're asking, then
Okay.
the chief can ask for the briefing
Well,
from the staff. And
I think what I would do is arrange a conference call with Jason, Susan, as Lisa, and myself, and David and Angela, and Stacia, she's over health, to have a kind of what is it they're looking for from us.
I'll move that.
Arrange a conference call.
All right, so Chief, you're going to handle that then? Arranging a call?
No, you arrange the call for us, a Zoom call or a Teams
Okay,
call.
well, the motion was is that you would arrange this, so that's why I'm asking.
No.
You're gonna reach out to
Yeah,
Kerry.
it's just a conference call, and the parties that'll be on it will be myself, David, Angela, Stacia, Susan, Jason Brandt, the police chief, and Lisa from economic development side.
Not Kerry,
Who?
not this
I'm
Kerry.
sure, as you can set up a
Yeah,
conference.
it'll be a conference, a Zoom call with his Carrie Nesbitt, who's the acting director of the Indigenous Affairs Controlled Substance and Cannabis Branch. I think it's pretty wide open. What are the views of First Nations people concerning cannabis in their community, and good thing or bad thing, or how is it? It's creating a number of jobs. Like we have to admit that it's providing revenue for people in the community. That's I guess happening. Otherwise, these stores would not stay open. Is there increased traffic at nighttime? Does it impact policing? Are we short of police to be able to police it properly? Are there a number of, is it fostering more addiction and mental health issues? The people that work in that field should be able to give us some idea. Is it creating more poverty, the addiction creating more poverty and more people lining up for an ODSP or Ontario Works? That kind of thing.
Do you think you need an internal discussion first then?
Yeah,
before you meet with
because
Kerry?
at that level of detail, I don't have. I mean, I would ask these questions to the staff.
Yeah,
But again, they should be able to give me, because they deal with the day-to-day services.
so the first call would be with the staff.
The staff first, and then they would be able to be part of the discussion to see what it is they want, first of all, what they're looking for. That would be the discussion. Then I guess we would go back to the staff and say, this is what they're looking. And then there's other issues that the community is concerned. We don't have to be, we have the liberty to put that forward in whatever the community wants to say when you go before an expert panel. They don't dictate you what to say. We tell them what the issue is in our community.
Excellent. I'll second that.
Second by Ted. Everyone in favor, then we'll have a Zoom call and start there.
Yeah, that's fine, sounds good.
Okay, Josh?
Yep.
Okay, motion is carried then, and so we'll do, we'll start there with a Zoom call to see what they're looking for. Then I guess those are the parties that I think we need to talk to in our staff, and if there's others, then please include them. If the council wants to be part of it too, that's fine with me. Okay, TMC. Active Transportation Fund, I did circulate this, and I think I did suggest that we I think I asked the question, could we put sidewalks on the Bay Shore Road there, because there's high volume of traffic there, and did they have any other ideas, like improving the walking trails? All that kind of stuff, are there scooters that people need to get around on? And so this was circulated, so I don't know whether or not we applied or not, I never signed off any funding proposals.
And also, Chief, some consideration be given to safe cycling, walking lanes on the edge of our
Well,
roads.
this fund is over with, though.
No, it's not. 4 or 5 years, 400 million.
Here, let's see here.
David, do we
The
know,
first general intake for active support transportation funding closed on March 31st, 2022. Only applications relevant are accepted on an ongoing basis throughout the applicant portal.
do we know if we applied for this fund, David?
Off the top of my head, I honestly know, I'm gonna have to ask Todd that.
Yeah, Christopher mentioned maybe Todd's program or Tom's program, maybe could reach out, use with this.
So it says the first general intake, so there must be other intakes.
Yeah, it started in March 31st, 2022, Chief, and then it's ongoing for Indigenous folks. It's 5 years, 400 million.
Okay. So then I guess what we need to do is put out a call to see if we need a coordinator to find out if there's a need for this funding in the community, what is it that we should be applying for, and who is going to do the application. Because there may,
Be good to double check what the next intake do, just that way there you got some timeline. If the first intake ended last year, you know, it's good to know when it's due, but as part of
okay,
this discussion, let's find out.
okay, let's get the information then on when the next call for proposals are for intake 2.
I think it's ongoing basis.
Ongoing, okay, and the application form, and I guess who the contact people are. And maybe the program directors David could have a Zoom call with the people that run this funding opportunity, and then get some ideas if this is something we need in the community, then go from there.
Yeah, for sure, Chief, we'll bring it up at the executive meeting tomorrow.
That's what I was gonna suggest, David, I'd make a motion for you to do that, if we need a motion, is that just an action item?
No, it's an agenda, like, we're gonna go tomorrow anyway, so it'll be distributed to all the directors, and we might actually discover that they can apply for this fund. And then we can let you guys know at our next meeting. It'll be a topic of discussion tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
You're welcome, Ted.
So that'll be an action item, and it'll just go to the executive for discussion. If they need funding, then, and I don't know how much, is there a limit per application? There's just a lot more information the directors will need. But I did circulate it when it came around for them to follow up on it. I circulated it to the council as well. The annual food resource golf tournament, George Hill and the team raised $62,743.45. And I would like to thank George and the people involved with raising this here, another year of the successful golf tournament to a worthwhile cause for our food bank. And I know the money we put to good use, because there's a lot of people struggling. And I'm sure you read that there's a letter here from George that says, we are pleased to submit the attached profit and loss statement to meeting report requirements. It says The donation approved by Chief of Council was tremendous help for our committee to securing a successful tournament for a worthwhile cause. With your donation and those of all the sponsors and golfers, our committee was able to raise $62,743.45 to be used to purchase food supplies. I am sure you have read and heard of that after 10 years, this volunteer committee has decided to turn over the reins to the next generation. On behalf of our volunteer committee, we would express our gratitude to Chief of Council for your continued support in our endeavor to raise funds for our Food Resource Center, George Hill. Motion to acknowledge with appreciation the donation of from the annual Food Resource Charity Golf Treatment, and to send a letter to George Hill at the volunteer committee, and to express our deepest gratitude for their support of our food bank and the tremendous success in raising funds. Much appreciated. Chris?
Chief, can we go maybe 1 or 2 steps further? I'm not sure what just this committee, but for the volunteer folks, those volunteers in the annual dinner we're having in November, could we look at maybe plaques or jackets in addition to this acknowledgement?
Get some prices and bring it back.
So I move to acknowledge.
Somebody second
Yes.
station. I don't know. Did you second that station? I heard something.
To acknowledge the,
I was going to. Maybe.
Sorry.
who's going to second it? Was that you, Josh?
Yeah, acknowledging Uncle Lane, Rosie, especially all the cities that has done this for as long as they have. It's 10 years is a long time, and 3 years when there was no tournament because of COVID. They still kind of backed the pavement and stripped the trees, and there was still, over $10,000 for the golf in the city. Because the people that support this, they support the cause, not the day. So we want to acknowledge all their hard efforts. It's unfortunate that these things, they have to come to an end. Somebody just take the reins and find the time to put in all the work that I know personally, how much work they did. It's a lot, but yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, that's great.
It's going to be a hard act for somebody to follow, that's for sure.
Well, if you got volunteers and they're dedicated and believe in what they're doing, it makes all the difference in the world. And every community, believe it or not, needs volunteers. And we need to appreciate their volunteers and all of our workers and people, because it takes many people to make things successful. That motion is carried to acknowledge with appreciation the generous donation for the funds raised by the golf course committee for our food bank. Mohawk fires, firemen, they want to put up a beer tent at the fair. The hours of operation. They have a license from the Liquor License Control Board of Ontario for the event. It'll commence on September the 8th, 2023, beginning at 4 p.m. and concluding on September the 9th at 1 p.m. The opening September the 9th at 12 noon, the concluding on September the 9th at 10 p.m. On September the 10th, it'll be from 12 till 5 p.m.
Motion, Chief.
To approve? Chris approves. Is there a seconder? Josh? Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The next issue is the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. There is a plant that grows called the water soldier that grows in the bay, and it's very destructive. It's invasive and it's not good for the ecosystem. And so they would like, our staff want to work with them to, I recommend them providing the authorization to RF, using the attached draft authorization letter to be followed by MQ social media posts to highlight the work activities and parties present on the Bay of Quinte.
Motion to approve the recommendation, Chief.
Approved. Chris? Is there a seconder for that motion?
I can second.
Ted? Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Number 12. Iroquois Caucus annual contribution. There's a surplus of just under $200,000, 197 or 99,000, something like that. I gave Lisa my copy of my statement we had, but again, there was this dispute, this concern about what is the surplus. But I guess it looks like it's just under $200,000. The suggestion was made, there was a resolution passed to hire a full-time coordinator. The salary level will commensurate with the level of education and experience the person has. And so they will give further consideration to maybe a $5,000 increase, but we want them to use the surplus first. So they're looking at maybe $10,000 more, doubling the contribution, but again, they said what's the plan for the surplus? So the surplus is to pay meeting expenses plus the coordinator's salary, but again, the salary for that person was a part-time position.
Chief, can we defer this until you receive the financial status update?
We can.
From Aquasasne at the August General Assembly? Because
Yeah.
I know that, I think a year ago, they were supposed to.
I did get the report, but unfortunately Lisa didn't have it in her package, and I gave her the copy that was in my package, and she's on holidays now. So she sat next to me at the Iroquois Caucus, and she didn't have it in her package, so I said, here, give it back to me, but she's on holidays. So a motion to defer is Chris?
Just a suggestion, Chief.
I would support a deferral just because I find it a little odd to be asking for a larger contribution when it's such a large surplus. We could defer it, we would hold off until that. If you're saying you need more money, that's.
Well, that was the question that the chief asked, and what's the plan for the surplus? So,
That's a very good question, and I'm glad they asked that question. When we get that answer, I think we can put that back on the table, at our table.
okay,
But I don't want to, I'd like to see that answer, but I'd also like to see a proposed budget as well that we'd approve, so.
Yeah,
If you can pass that on. to
yeah,
us,
they have to bring a budget.
before we approve any increases, for sure.
So that'll be noted then. And I'll, when Lisa's back, I'll get the financial report we did get, and I'll circulate, have her circulated by you. Okay, the next item is Tim Miracle's, he's my nephew. He's starting a steel fabrication business, and it's called Big Chiefs Erectors. And he's going to operate out of Trey's garage for now until he gets a building built. And I guess it's compliant according to Lisa. I did sign a letter because he wanted to bid on some jobs. We didn't want to hold him up, so they said it was coming to today's council for approval. So
Motion.
moved by Chris, who will second it.
Didn't we do all that? Didn't we do all that by email? I thought
I did send an email, but I didn't get a response.
okay, well, I'll second.
Second by
I
Ted.
thought we took care of it.
You responded. Okay, motion moved by Chris, second by Ted to approve. Station, Josh, are you agreeable?
yeah, good.
Motion's carried. Number 14, and ISC amended. Number 42,
Motion to acknowledge.
there's 6,000, total funding is 6, Is there a seconder for Chris's motion? Is there a seconder for the motion to the ISC amendment number 42?
So you're accepting the funding, right, Chief? That's what you're doing?
Yeah, we're accepting the funding. $6,000.
Yeah, I'll
It's
second.
$750 a month, and it's for the cost of the member that had the tornado, home was damaged. This is for the other accommodation expenses. And that's part of emergency management policy. It's moved by Chris. Ted, you seconded it?
Yeah, sorry.
Stacia and Josh, are you agreeable?
Yeah,
And hopefully we don't have any more tornadoes, that nobody else ends up like that. But with the future, we never know. Alan Pratt's invoice, they relate to the Culbertson partial tract settlement. There's two invoices to pay, $5,337 and $1,256. Does it motion to pay these invoices?
Motion.
Chris? Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The next item is the Temple Maniga invoice, $165 for a potential breach of privacy. Is there a motion to pay this invoice?
I'll move.
Moved by Ted. Is there a seconder?
Seconded.
Motion is carried. Next item is August 23rd, Mohawk Council meeting. Then there's, that's already noted, August, the AI funding. Where are these issues? And the other items are underneath there? Okay. All right, thank you. For the cultural camps, it's AII funding 23-24, and we need to sign the document from AIAI. We need to show that the full 25,000 was spent by March 31st, 2024. Motion to accept this document.
Motion.
Chris? Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second.
Ted? The motion is carried. The railway safety. The Railway Safety Week is September the 18th at 24, and so they're asking for support resolution. That said, whereas Rail Safety Week is to be held across Canada from September 18th to the 24th, 2023, and whereas 232 railway crossings and trespassing incidents occurred in Canada in 2022, resulting in 66 avoidable fatalities and 43 avoidable serious injuries. And whereas educating and informing the public about rail safety, reminding the public that the railway rights of way are private property, enhancing public awareness of the dangers associated with highway and rail grade crossings, ensuring pedestrians and motorists are looking and listening while near railways and obeying established traffic laws will reduce the number of avoidable fatalities and injuries caused by incidents involving trains and citizens. And whereas Operation Lifesaver is a public-private partnership whose aim is to work with the public, rail industry, governments, police, services, media, and others to raise railway safety awareness. And where CN encourages the Chief Council to adopt a resolution in support of its ongoing efforts to save lives and prevent injuries in the community, including our community. It's proposed by Councillor and seconded by Councillor. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Moved by Chris, who will second it? Stacia? Okay, then please come in and sign the resolutions. Sign underneath there. Stacia and Chris will sign there on the line, just sign underneath there.
Sign on the bottom.
So once everybody has signed them, we can scan them and send them to you, Stacia, if you have facilities to be able to scan them and send them back.
Right, good point. Maybe perhaps Ted should second that. Or to expedite. Or
Should you get set up to sign, by Bryce, using Adobe?
no, I don't think I have. I'm pretty sure we can do that at any time. So if that's possible, we can do that.
Yes, Stacia, we have examples of your signature from other MCRs, but we could get him to probably do all that remotely, and you just be able to drag and drop it on the document on your computer.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, perfect, I'll look into it.
Shelley, who seconded the motion to approve the budget? Stacia, was Chris, and who else? Okay. Yeah. The budget for 2023. Yeah. Stacia, okay. Good. Gotta know that document there. Okay, so the next item here is the 10:35 agenda item. Oh. So the Chiefs of Ontario, Jackie Lombardi, who works in the Justice Department, has sent this letter to me. Hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out on September the 20th demonstration in Ottawa, opposing the illegitimate media assertions and Bill C-53, save the date attached. The Chiefs of Ontario is coordinating buses for interested First Nations to be transported to and from Ottawa to support the demonstration. Mohawks of the Bay Peninsula has been identified as a convenient pickup location. We are kindly requesting your permission to send 2 buses to pick up interested community members to attend the demonstration. Chiefs of Ontario will cover the cost of the buses and will provide lunch in Ottawa. We'd like to schedule a bus pickup for you in your community for 7 a.m. for arrival at 9:30 in Ottawa. The bus would then depart Ottawa and return home at 2 p.m. If agreeable, we are happy to work with your staff to coordinate and develop materials for circulation through your nation to raise awareness about the demonstration. We will also reimburse associated costs of printing. If you'd like to host an information session for your community, we'll also be able to attend virtually or to provide a presentation. Please let me know if you're agreeable. Jackie Lombardi. So I think it's okay. This council will support this request.
Motion.
And I think that would be Lisa. Is there a seconder for this motion to approve?
Yeah, I can second that.
Okay. There's just one issue here, I think we should approve, there's an easement agreement between Jason Doreen and the Mohawk Survey Committee. The proposed purpose of the agreement is to facilitate the existing installation, construction, and replacement of an in-ground high-density catch basin within the old Highway 2 right-of-way with piping related purposes and throughout the parking lot of Fiddler Green for the management of extraneous surface stormwater from old Highway 2 right-of-way fronting lot 68-3-1. The agreement grants the Mohawk Survey Committee and their representatives access to lot 3068-3-1 concession to conduct general maintenance activities on the storm drain and appurtenances is required only and does not transfer title or other right in respect of the land referred to herein. And whereas Jason Doreen possesses the certificate of possession at present for lot 68-3-1, located at 5965 Old Highway 2, within the Mohawk Territory in the province of Ontario, and whereas the lockatee engaged a contractor to install a catch basin in Old Highway 2 road allowance with piping through his parking lot in Fiddler's Green in an effort to address surface water drainage, and whereas the Mohawk Survey is reimbursing the lockatee for the construction costs of the catch basin piping, and whereas it is necessary for MBQ at time to enter into the stated plans to conduct repairs and general maintenance activities on the in-ground works. Therefore, be it resolved that the parties mutually agree to the following conditions and covenants as outlined below. The lockatee hereby grants MBQ their representatives an easement for an in-ground stormwater piping and appurtenance originally installed by the lockatee in 68-3-1 concession when in accordance with the attached figure. The lockatee hereby agrees that the MBQ and agrees authorizes MBQ egress and ingress upon lot 68-3-1 concession 1 as required to conduct repair activities or general maintenance activities. It is mutually agreed and understood that whenever any work is completed on the above mentioned lot, the MBQ or their designate, the distributed shall be restored back to the original state as soon as reasonably possible. In consideration for reimbursement of $9,100, it is mutually agreed and understood that the law shall indemnify MBQ from any future claims, demands, actions, or causes of actions, whether in law or equity, in respect of the death, injury, loss, or damage personally to property or adjacent property, however cause arising or arise because of the installation and construction of the catch basin, piping and related appurtenances on lot 68-3-1, Old Highway 2 right-of-way. It is mutually agreed and understood that MBQ are not providing any warranty for the installation and construction of the catch basin, piping, or related appurtenances originally installed by the lockatee. This easement is to be for the benefit and binding upon the above noted persons, their respective heirs, administrators, successors, and assigns. The agreement represents the entire agreement, and there are no other promises beyond the conditions outlined above. Dated at the Tyendinaga Mohawk Territory this day of 2023, and it's signed by David Soulier and myself, this agreement. And this is recommended by our infrastructure department. Is there a motion to approve this easement?
I can make that motion, Chief.
Moved by Ted.
Email.
Is there a seconder?
Is that catch basin going on private property?
Catch basins in the road allowance, that really is the county's road allowance. So neither the band or the county were consulted before it was put in, but it's in there. The engineers have looked in there that it does provide the drainage away from the road allowance. It's in the county road allowance.
Because the information I believe I saw from the engineers and contractors were that parking lot.
But there was a lot of water that did go down through his property, so rather than get tangled up in court fights, it would cost us more than $9,100 for paying it, but they want an easement agreement that there's no warranty on that catch basin, and then if we have to go on there, we have the right to fix it.
What I moved was Todd's recommendation, Chief.
It'll save us litigation, it'll save us, because we'll pay out more to a lawyer than $9,100 to fight it.
And does this make us free from any future claims if that?
Well, we put in the condition that we didn't, it was put in without, you know, he installed it and then we don't warranty it.
And does that free us from future claims if that building floods out from the?
Well, again, you know what happened was that they put the pavement right up to the door level and you wouldn't normally do that. Yeah, but anyhow, it's recommended that we approve the easement, so I think it'll put an end to the issue. And it's been moved. Is there a seconder? Easements are public information.
I will second.
Stacia? Josh, are you agreeable?
I am.
Are you agreeable, Chris?
You read a lot of information the last few minutes there, so I'm gonna go with it, Chief, but my gut feel is that.
It resolves the issue. There's a lot of water there that needs to go somewhere, and it's downhill toward the it corrects that drainage issue. But again, the band didn't install it, and neither did the county, and the catch basin is in the road allowance. Okay, that motion's carried. Can we have a motion to go in private? Motion. Moved by Chris. Is there a seconder? Just wait, you had some public issues before you said. Grade 12 graduates, grade going into post-secondary education, the graduates, and you're suggesting we give them $1,000 allowance?
Yeah.
Is that your motion?
Yeah, the motion, Chief. I tabled it last summer. It didn't go through, but I've talked to families where they have a son or a daughter going off to post-secondary, and then I've learned that the family no longer has a computer because the family computer went with the student off to college. So I think in order to help with some of our young folks going on to post-secondary, we make.
So this is for students that are going on to post-secondary? Do you know how many there are? So Chris has made a motion. Is there a seconder?
I would like to ask if there's an opportunity to defer this to where we can, I can meet with post-secondary to kind of gauge what that number would be. I do agree that we should look at maybe increasing supports. I've had a quick chat about potentially upping the monthly allowance to kind of combat some of the increased cost of living, inflation. So if council's agreeable, I can bring something back for the next meeting. You know, in terms of computers, support, I think we can look at what support we could do for that. But in terms of post-sec students receiving increased funding, I would like to meet with post-sec.
Okay, Chris, are you agreeable to deferral?
Yeah, just to add to what Josh was saying, my understanding is that we're already looking at it. I mean, it's recognized the cost of living as a result of inflation is a significant concern. So I think that it would be good for staff to have the opportunity to finish doing the work that they're doing and we'll be able to bring it back.
Okay, so then this motion will then be deferred to next council agenda. then staff will bring us the information, more detailed information, the costs and all that, where the money comes from, all that. Okay? The next item that's public is the airport fire report, and we did get an email at 11 o'clock or 11:50 from Angela. I guess that's the best information they can give, Chris.
So Chief, I'm just waiting to see if the police have an actual report as well, so back to Jason, he did say that he'd look for it, but I assume that the gentleman is very busy based on the circumstances we all talked about earlier today, so I'll follow up with him tomorrow as well.
Okay. So we'll defer this item then to the next.
I would ask if it is possible for, we're talking about the hangar,
Yes, Josh?
yeah, if possible, could we have Scott for council session, just to kind of, you know, be present, so if there are any questions that we are looking to get answered, that we can have that kind of direct, just to say that if there's, I know the hydrants have been since addressed, but if there's anything else that we feel needs to be, I would welcome Scott and or Jason to just have a roundtable with the council about that incident, and if there's any outstanding issues or any outstanding questions, I think that's possible.
Yeah, for sure, Josh. Actually, that was my plan, was to talk to Scott about coming to the next meeting. I know I did suggest it earlier, when the topic came up that he should be present, so I'll talk to him tomorrow and figure out, I'm sure he will be able to come to the next meeting.
All right, then, so then that would be an action item then to have Scott and Jason attend the council to discuss the airport hangar fire that occurred on February the 26th, 2022, to answer any questions that the council has. That'll be an action item. Okay. That's it for the public portion of the agenda. Okay, it's private. Okay. Motion to go in private.
Motion.
Seconder,
I'll second.